Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. In this episode we're looking at the dog walk. You can see behind me the dog walk. Sometimes unusually known as something like the bridge or something like that. Originally I believe it was actually called a catwalk, but then of course they changed it because, well, we run dogs. Your dog walk is one of your pieces of contact equipment, which means it has a contact area either end. That's the white piece on this dog walk. All dog walks have a contrasting area, which is the contact area, and it's important because a dog must make contact with that area on the way up and on the way down, and if they don't, then it's considered they haven't completed the obstacle correctly. So let's have a look at the dog walk a bit more in depth. It is the biggest piece of equipment on the course in terms of length, not in terms of height. Each of these planks, so you have three of them, you have your top plank and you have your end planks. Each of these planks is 3.66 meters in length, and the angle of the planks running down is determined by the height, the full height of the dog walk, which is in the UK 1.2 meters high. So in recent years the height was lowered. I think it was a couple of years ago it was lowered. So if you are buying a second-hand dog walk, you may find it's the wrong height, because the height used to be more like this. It dropped considerably. So that's something to bear in mind. I believe this is in line with international specifications for a dog walk, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But certainly in the UK, you would expect all your dog walks to be 1.2 meters to the very top. So up here, which would then obviously define this angle, which means the angle is a nicer slope. In terms of width, we're like the seesaw. So if you think about it, this is the same length as the seesaw plank. In terms of width, we're the same. So it's between 25.4 centimetres and 30.5 centimetres. I usually would aim to go for the widest because I think it's the safest for the dog, but there is that variation, so it's just something to bear in mind. In terms of materials, a dog walk can be made of wood or aluminium. Both are acceptable, and you could have both at a competition. This is obviously a wooden dog walk. It is an older dog walk before they all switched to aluminium. So it's had a few repairs over the course of time. But yes, it's made of wood, painted to weatherproof it. Every bit of it is wood. More and more in competition, you see aluminium. Aluminium is lighter, so it's easier to move around. So every part of the dog walk would be made of aluminium, including the struts. Because it's lighter, there is a difference with dogs running over it. So a dog that gets used to running over a wooden dog walk may then have trouble going over an aluminium dog walk because it has a different feel to it. It's got a bit more of a different bounce to it. It's just all these slight differences because of the material. So that is something that can happen. If you've only ever trained on a wooden dog walk, you may find that a dog gets to an aluminium dog walk and it all goes a bit pear-shaped. So it's just something to bear in mind. Where possible, and if you're going to be getting equipment, certainly I would suggest get an aluminium because that's the way things have gone. But if you have got a wooden one, at least try and find somewhere to train occasionally on an aluminium. Just like with the seesaw, so that you get that opportunity to vary what you're training on. In terms of the contact area, which is this area, this portion, again, always a different colour to the rest of the dog walk, so you can see where it is, and importantly the judge can see. So this is again like the seesaw, which was 71.6 centimetres I believe. That's the length of the contact area. One thing you will notice on my dog walk is I have no slats going across. So the Kennel Club specifications state this. It doesn't have to be, but most dog walks do, and that is they have these little slats, like raised bits. If you imagine it's like a bit like a ladder down the length. This is to help with grip. So we've got rubber granules on here for grip, but the slats help with grip as well. As I say, most dog walks would have them, and they would be covered with the rubber chip as well. The important thing is they're not they're not within the first 15 centimetres of the end, because that could cause an injury on the dog, and they're nicely spaced out. As I say, there's some controversy about whether you need slats or not, but the KC regulations still state they are. That being said, my dogs obviously are trained on this one without slats, and they go to competition, have no issue on ones that do have slats. So, you know, it's one of them things. We'll talk more about that in safety. So that's your basics of your dog walk. The important thing to think about with your dog walk always is that it's nicely set and firm on the ground, there's no wobbles, and when you're training it, you need to think to yourself that the important is the contact area. We'll go into that in another video, but that is the thing that things will go wrong. If your dog isn't touching that contact area, either when going up or coming down, that's when things are going to go wrong, because they're going to get faulted. So that's one of those areas to think about. I hope you've enjoyed this Everyday Canines video, and if you have, you might like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon.